Hi, welcome to Talking Books and Stuff, the program that talks all about books and writing and stuff. Here's your host, Dennis Rimmer.
And welcome back. It's another edition of Talking Books and Writing and Stuff. And today we're not talking about writing and stuff. Well, yes, we are. We're talking about dogs. We have Rona Maynard on the line from Toronto, where the time change just happened because we're recording this on the Monday after the time change, where time changes most everywhere except here in Saskatchewan, because in Saskatchewan, time stands still. So, Rona, thanks for being with us today to talk about Starter Dog.
My pleasure, Dennis.
So, why this book at this time?
This book snuck up on me and took me by surprise and said, write me. When my husband said, let's get a dog, I thought, what a crazy idea, because we were in our 60s. We didn't have a kid around to play fetch. We were living in an 8th floor condo. And I had been casting about for a big, complicated project to replace the big, complicated job I used to have editing Chatelaine magazine. I sure didn't think it was a dog. But lo and behold, when I started exploring my familiar neighborhood with him, it revealed a whole other face and a whole other cast of characters. Dogs really pull you into the world. I started writing Facebook posts about what happened on the daily walk, and next thing I knew, people were saying, you have a book here.
And the book is called Starter Dog. And this heading I have on my other machine in front of me says, Rona Maynard had lost her spark. Then she agreed to let a dog into her life. And the rest is history. So
the rest is an ongoing adventure.
It is, isn't it?
He's 10 years old now,
yeah.
But he still thinks he's a puppy.
Yes.
And he is a great and totally artless mentor in aging. Because to him, every day is perfect exactly as it is.
Exactly. So why'd you get a dog and not a cat or a guinea pig or a parakeet?
Well, we had been through cats before. We had had many, and my husband had loved dogs and hankered for a dog all his life. He wasn't getting any younger. We're the same age. We were 63 when the subject of a dog came up. And there's a point you reach where you know you can't just keep saying someday, someday, someday. Mm-hmm. It's either going to happen now or nowish.
Yep.
Or it's never going to happen. So although I didn't want a dog myself, I loved not being tied down and not having fur all over the furniture. I did also love my husband, and I could see that this was very important to him.
Uh-huh. And he's always lying around the furniture anyway, so you might as well just carry on from there.
He or the dog? Which one?
So this dog, couple of questions here, because I got my questions in the wrong order. So what type of dog did you actually select? And you had trouble naming the dog, apparently.
Well, we didn't know beans about selection. We were rescuing a dog, and we just knew we had certain criteria. Had to be 30 pounds or less. I didn't want a big dog. Had to be very good with kids because we had a young grandchild who we hoped would be a playmate for our dog. Had to be good in the car. We take a lot of road trips. And we didn't want to take on a puppy because we're in an 8th floor condo. There's no way we're taking a puppy out for pee breaks in the middle of the night. And as first-timers, we could not take on a complicated dog. A lot of the dogs that were up for adoption then, now I'm sure it's different, had some real limitation. They were chronically ill. They were traumatized. They were dogs for experienced dog people, which we were not. We needed a learner's dog.
Okay, a starter dog, like you said.
Yes. Well, I knew pretty early on that the title would be Starter Dog. And as I wrote, it became clear to me that the title has more than one meaning. He's a starter dog because he's our first and possibly even our last, but he also started a lot of good things.
And so the title, Starter Dog, with Rona Maynard. And what type is the dog?
He's a Beagle mix. We know this because we had his DNA done. My husband is deeply into family history and genetic genealogy, and you just can't live in this family without your family tree being studied, without your DNA being studied, I should say. And this is very interesting because when we rescued him, the rescue people said he was a lab pug mix. Now, how does such a thing even happen?
Exactly.
How does a lab mate with a pug?
Very carefully.
Well, he has no lab or pug in him. He's more Beagle than anything else, but he's got a jot of Boston Terrier and Bulldog.
Well.
And although I don't think he looks like a Beagle.
No. Looking at the picture, nope.
Except for his pointy face, and he doesn't have the Beagle markings. Beagle fanciers have said on the street, "Oh, is that a Beagle mix?" People sometimes get so closely attuned to their favorite breed that they'll pick up these things.
So what, first of all, the name, it came a bit of a struggle to get the name for the guy?
Well, we didn't want it to be a struggle. When we were younger and we had cats, we tried to be very creative with the names. And this time we thought we would just recycle a name that we had liked before. And the name Casey was first used by the last and best of our cats. He was initially named, the cat I mean, K.C. K.C. Jones for a basketball player.
Boston Celtics.
There was a pair of basketball players named for the Boston Celtics named Sam and K.C. Jones, and my husband was a basketball fan. His name is Jones. But at the vet's office, they could never spell K.C. They always called him Casey. So he became Casey, and I liked the name Casey. We both did. It trips off the tongue.
Yep.
It sounds great with Jones.
Yep.
It conjures these winsome images of a canine engineer.
Yeah.
So that was it. We had our name.
Or a Grateful Dead song, so, there's all sorts of things in there.
Yes.
So we've got Casey. Now, did he select you or did you select him?
Well, it's interesting. There really was only one dog available who we could even consider because the others were all too young, too old, too sick, too difficult, etc. And when we went to take a look at the dog who became Casey, then known as Shotgun, I thought, well, I guess he'll do. And as I was thinking, I guess he'll do, he came right up to me and he sat on my foot as if he was staking his claim.
That's right.
As if he was telling me, I'm yours and you're mine.
And that's, yep.
And he has never done it since. But it was a powerful moment.
I know. Yep. That's the question people have. Do pets select us or do we select them? And lots of people seem to think they select us. We have no choice in the matter. They show up and that's it. They come in and take over and we're doomed.
Well, certainly people adopt stray dogs that way. Dogs who just follow them or look at them endearingly.
Right. Well, we have a cat that we picked out of the street in a blizzard, and a rescue dog and another cat. So we have 3 of them roaming around here, named Henry, Holly, and Harley. And I always get the names mixed up, but after all these years. So Rona Maynard, oh, there goes somebody now. Starter dog. What's the best and worst thing about getting a dog, shall we say, later in life?
Well, the best thing is that a dog is a second chance. A chance to be young again, to lose yourself in play, in laughter, to be silly. Dogs are always making you laugh. Mm-hmm. They're just incapable of taking themselves or anything too seriously. Unlike cats, I think cats are very serious. But with Casey around, there was always leaping and bounding and sniffing and clinking of tags, and the whole place just became so lively. It had been very controlled by 2 persnickety, orderly older folks. And as for the worst thing, I don't really think there is any. Yes, they do tie you down.
Yep.
And we were used to picking up and going anywhere we chose without having to worry about who'll look after the dog. But I like that tug of responsibility to another living creature. At our stage of life, we don't have anybody waiting for us to solve a problem at the office. We don't have the school on the phone because a child is in the principal's office. Our parents are long gone, so we're not being summoned to look after them. And a dog just grounds you with the little rituals of care. Sometimes, quite often actually, I don't feel like going out for the walk. Sometimes it's too hot, too cold, or too wet.
Right.
But once I'm out there, I'm usually glad I am.
And the trick, I think, is to remember the dog is for the walk, not necessarily for you. So if the dog wants to take 10 minutes to go half a block, I guess you just have to accept it.
That's right. I used to walk for fitness. And for me, it was an aerobic thing. It was either exercise or it was getting somewhere. And a male dog is peeing and marking all the time. So you are not going to make time with a male dog.
No.
And yet the dog is so physically engrossed in the world, in leaving his own scent on it, in seeing what other creatures have done to leave their scent on the world. It slows you down, and we move too fast.
And do you talk to your dog?
On the walk? No.
No.
I know that there are people who do. Emily Dickinson had a large Newfoundland named Carlo, and she used to compose poems to her dog while they walked. She was a very small woman, and she had an enormous dog.
There was a question asked on one of the interviews up on your website. Do dogs make us better humans? What do you think?
Oh, I think they do. They draw out of us the capacity to be kind and to let minor obsessions go, to be fully focused on where we are right now. Casey is always making friends. We live in downtown Toronto, and many of the people that we meet are struggling in some way. Often they have a mental health problem. They may be homeless. They may be young and adrift and visiting from another country. They're often lonely. And Casey is a compassion teacher.
And that's our dog is like that. Everybody in town knows our dog. So
Yes.
even if they don't want to, they
Yes.
they have to
I
pay
would say the
attention to
same.
her when she comes up to them. So what do you hope this book will accomplish then in the end?
I hope this book will open people's eyes to the untapped possibility in their lives. We all have moments when the skills that we have used for the past 5, 10, or 20 years to bring purpose and joy to our days just aren't working anymore. And we need a refresher. We need to learn some new skills. Well, for me, it was a dog that kick-started that process. For somebody else, it might be volunteering for community theater. It might be running for local political office. It might be planting a garden. It can be whatever you want it to be. And while you are immersed in that new pursuit, you are also feeding unexplored aspects of yourself.
And this book, Starter Dog, is a memoir of sorts, and it's your second one you've done. Just to go off topic a bit, what can you tell us about writing a memoir? What kind of tips or things have you learned over your memoir writing journeys?
It's not what you did that drives the story. It is what you did with it. It is the meaning that you make out of what happened to you. And this is why you do not have to climb Everest. You do not have to be kidnapped to have a fascinating story to tell. There are wonderful memoirs that have been written about a so-called ordinary childhood. Well, I don't believe there is any such thing as an ordinary life, because every life is full of drama.
Nope.
Every life challenges us to find ways to fall in love, to say goodbye, to meet obstacles, to face disappointment. And there are stories in all of those things.
There certainly are, and there's a great story here in Starter Dog by Rona Maynard. And before we go, Rona, just one quick question. There's a Ida Lupino joke in the book.
Oh my God, yes, there is.
Should we tell it, or should we let the reader discover it for him or herself?
I think we're going to let the reader discover it. Who knew there was a joke about Ida Lupino?
Well, it just has to do with a male brother. Of course, a brother would be male, but anyway. And she's always been one of my favorite actresses anyway. But that's it. You have to read the book, Rona Maynard's Starter Dog, to find out about a dog and how a dog can help you, and about the joke from about Ida Lupino. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for visiting with us today. This is Talking Books and Stuff with Dennis Rimmer. Contact him at dennis@talkingbooks.tk. Thank you, and may all the good news be yours. Oh, and don't forget to check out his book, The Great Canadian Notebook, available across Canada and at amazon.ca.